Okay, so the media source isn't playing. I think we'll just go into the show because I have no interest in troubleshooting that after 5 to 10 minutes of troubleshooting. We're live. It's been a long time since I can say that at the very least. Hey, it's Slacker Kite here. It is of course Monday, August the 23rd, 2021. Welcome back to your live Mr. Video Game Live Super Show Live. Brought to you, of course, by Dead Sun Entertainment. You know, it's not a Dead Sun Entertainment show without there being at least one weird bit of troubleshooting going on. So that is fan-freaking-tastic. And of course, oh well, whatever. Let's go to the live. For some reason I see Brian as two swirling things, but let's just freaking go! Hey, Slacker Kite here. Welcome to the show. It's so good to have you, of course. We have returning people and all of that good stuff. We start out... I was looking over at my... okay, anyway, I had an intro ready in my head and everything, but screw it, it's Brian! Wonder Boy, for some reason, is two dots floating.
I don't know why that is, because I'm totally here. I can see
Now
myself.
you're you! Okay.
I am? Hooray! Thank you, Discord gods, for making our first fucking attempt at throwing video of all of us onto this stupid thing. This stupid, glorious thing. I'm finally making it work, and hopefully continue to work throughout the rest of the duration of this beautiful, beautiful broadcast. I feel so good
God,
to be back on this damn show. It's been too fucking long. Like, I will admit, the break was nice. I got to play a lot more shit than I normally get to play when we do this on a weekly basis. But I've missed it. And I'm very happy that we are back. I wish we were coming back to talk about a topic that didn't piss me off as much as this one.
Yeah, we have a whole 2 hours set aside for one topic, and I also just realized I left my lights on, but that's easy fix.
What, your car light?
Look at that. No, the overhead light, so...
Oh, okay, because one would be very bad.
Yeah, no, that would be awful. Let me fix the lighting here just a little bit, because I had all of the time before the show to figure
No worries,
that
while you do that, I'm just going to point out that now that we have video for me, you get to see all of the many drinks that I have during the show. Because I normally, whenever you couldn't see me, I almost always have like 3 different things going here.
I forgot to fill my water before the show, but whatever. We'll get back used to all of that goodness after a while. Boy, I had a whole, I was going to quote Mountain Goats and all of that, and my computer has decided, because it's my computer, to be funky. Who cares? And of course, coming back with us always, it's Lady Merowyn, aka Lindsay.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, we're back, and we're more live than normal.
We are. There's actual frames with all of us, and I need to move the window capture to the right source.
You guys finally get to see exactly how much I fidget during the course of a show.
Oh, no.
Hooray!
Oh no,
Window
Brian
capture
vanished.
3 is actually
Oh, God.
Brian.
I knew it.
Hold
Discord is just going to be like this.
No, it wasn't Discord. It's OBS this time.
Oh, okay, cool.
So-
The other. Well, I'm going to take this time while I'm off camera to let my cat out of the room.
Too late.
Well, I'm still going to go let my cat out of the room. So talk amongst yourselves.
Talking amongst myself, however will I do that? What I have ended up doing accidentally is putting Brian in the window that should have been the capture for the window where we show all the things. I am great with technology. Okay, let's add that, and that needs to go behind all of the things.
I like that we had a month off to figure this out, and then we still like it's so on point for what we do.
I was gonna say, is it really us if we don't procrastinate,
It's not that I procrastinated. It's that
or life doesn't get in their way?
I thought I had everything like totally ready for all of this, and then my computer decided to be my computer. So yeah, whatever the hell. Yeah, let me just move some things around to make myself a little bit more happy.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, this is gonna be a new way to set things up for the show, to kind of be able to like see the camera feeds and to see all the other stuff. Like it's a whole bunch of change. I'm in a new office. I'm in a new house place now,
Nice.
and
Yay!
I am very happy to have my setup here. You can't see all the fun shit on my shelves right now, but it's okay because that stuff is probably gonna get moved around.
My Chrome Dome is like extra chromy right now. That's
Hey, we have a new follower, and I totally missed it because my chat window isn't where it normally is. But hi, and welcome.
welcome to the
Apologies
dead
for the
Sun.
technical difficulties.
All right. Yeah, so we have given all of our notifications to all of the places. I'm sure people are very confused. What are these people doing here? Like, stream on this channel? Never. We've all been gone for a few months. Not a few months, a few weeks. Me and Wonder Boy were both at the wedding for one of our bestest friends, Uncharismatic, friend of the show, sometimes here, sometimes not. And then I went to go back to Atlanta and remember how surprisingly racist Atlanta is.
Is it that surprising?
No.
There you go.
And oh yeah.
It's not, well, not, I will say this: Atlanta, not as much. Around
Yeah.
Atlanta, yikes.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. Like, I think one of the people running for governor as well is running purely on Donald Trump won, actually. Like, that's his whole...
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So I'm glad to be back in New York, is what I'm saying. Yeah, normally this would be the part where we actually get into talking about what we did over the last few weeks as far as like what games we played, what recommendations we have for you. But that is going to be a whole hour tomorrow. I know Brian especially has played plenty of game, and I played 2. So
And I know Linz was talking about playing a few as well, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So
and a whole crop of them.
the good news, at least for the 2 that I did play, I've got a shitload to talk about. So that'll be fun.
Well, considering that I know one of those games off the top of my head, yes, I'm sure you have a lot to say about it.
God, so
I
much to
can't
say
remember
about
what the
that
second
one.
one is.
Liz knows.
Yep. You've already got me hooked on one.
Yeah.
I just need to get my sweaty little paws on it.
I'll give you a hint. It is a damn near 20-year-old game. And boy, it is exactly the game that you would expect to have come out of 2012 or 2002.
Is it wet?
It is not wet. No, it is.
Damn it.
It
So
is
I think 2002, I think wet.
I mean, we all were getting a little wet back in 2002. Let's. No,
That game was
no,
bad.
No, this is a fucking
For
great game.
innocence.
It doesn't matter. God, can you tell that I'm delaying actually getting into talking about it? I set aside 2 hours to talk about this particular thing. Kelvin, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see people coming back despite our lengthy absence here.
Yes, yes.
I know!
Yeah?
We've finally figured out how to capture video here at the show.
How
And
they
we all
can see
get
all of our
nervous.
faces.
Mhm.
It's to prove that Brian and I are actually people and not just computer-generated voices.
But like,
Yes.
you guys have seen a picture of me and Brian hugging, and you've seen a picture of me and Lindsay hugging. Therefore, by the exchange, both people exist. I think that's how it works.
Kind of. I mean, that is the logic, right? But I don't know. As someone who's been told to their face multiple times by people that I do not exist, thumbs up. I'm on video now. Fuck off.
I sound like an android?
Who sounds like an android? Oh,
There's-
Travis?
I
I
do?
don't know. I
How
don't.
does-
You don't sound like it to me. But
No.
who knows? Who knows what the fine people are getting?
It should be getting exactly the same thing. It's coming from the Yeti to both places. Bit of an echo.
Oh, yeah, you've got a heck of an echo. I just popped volume on the stream and yeah, you got a wee bits of an echo.
I have no idea how to fix that.
You might be picking up desktop audio. Make sure you don't have that as a source.
Oh, well, that's how I'm thinking of you guys, is desktop audio.
Then kill your
Oh.
actual audio input.
Wait. Kill this one. Okay, maybe that's better? I think that...
Okay, there we go. Thumbs up from Kelv. All right.
Okay, I think I know how the fuck. So we added that capture in for the song to come in that never started, but it seems like my audio is instead coming from that one too. Okay.
Okay, hun, when the borders reopen
Mhm.
and hopefully things pan out for me on Monday, you're gonna come up and I'm gonna tech support the stream.
Well, the problem is that my headphones usually plug into my Yeti, but it seems as if the sound jack on the Yeti is now broken. So I had
That's
to
not
find a
good.
different way to get my earbuds to listen to people talking. I'm going to blame a cat. Look, the important part is the part of the Yeti they actually paid cash money for, the speaky part, is working. So all of this was me finding workarounds at the last second because I had to put in earbuds instead in order to listen to audio. Because the audio jack on my literal laptop, the device driver's broken.
And I'm gonna do that to just in case anybody happens to walk past behind me. So
Hail
Nice.
cannabis, our native homegrown plant. And friend of the show, Alex, wants you to look at her cat. She asked me to show you the cat. That is her cat. Okay.
kitty.
God, we've sidetracked too long. We actually... God, it is not a fun story, but we have to talk about it. Because
Squeaky rage.
we are Mr. Video Games. And so much, like, it is amazing to me. This whole thing here happened while we were gone. All of it.
It's like they waited.
Yeah.
They're like, those damn kids at Dead Sun aren't gonna be able to bitch about us if we do this now.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the lawsuit fired against Blizzard, what it meant for the company, what it's meant for their products, and as well the fallout both for their games and other such related things, other companies, etc. So, that's, if that is not your bag, listening to a bunch of nerds talking about sexism in the gaming industry, maybe not your episode. Understandable, but this is important to us.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go ahead and content warning the fuck out of this. Like content warning for like sexual harassment, sexual assault, content warning for discussions of suicide, content warning for discussions of rape. Honestly,
Content
there's a
warning
lot.
for talking about Bill Cosby.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much in all.
Yeah, so the happy fun time of the show where we talk about how special, despite the fact that I'm a fucking tech guy, my setup is today. We're going into the serious. Thank you, Zach Zwizen over at Kotaku for putting all of this together in one place that is very easy to digest. Move some things around real quick. So, talking about this, we of course have to start with the lawsuit itself. I have to imagine if you're a friend of the show, you probably already know what the hell's going on, but it's worth getting into. The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing has dropped a lawsuit as of July the 20th, initially reported by Bloomberg, the same people that gave you the OnlyFans content that nobody wanted. That's a whole nother story. But they have filed a lawsuit stating that Blizzard has had a lot of sexism without the company, accusing the company of having a frat boy culture, and having a lot of sexual discrimination, and I don't know how to put it nicely. You know, some really bad workplace shit that should not have gone on and being ignored by HR.
Well, I mean, there is no nice way to put this. The content of this filing is abhorrent, and that is putting it lightly. You know, I mean, everything from allegations of the corporate structure keeping women and people of color at lower pay grades, at lower rates of promotion, to like a culture of sexual harassment and sexual assault that is pervasive and unregulated. So much so that you have like things like the Cosby Suite existing and the cube crawls that are described in this document, where people are encouraged to drink copious amounts of alcohol and then people end up getting, groped and catcalled and all this stuff at these things. Conduct in the office, conduct at fucking at BlizzCon. We have there everything from allegations of like the male employees at the office just basically playing games all day and passing off work to, people, employees of marginalized identities, whether it be women, people of color, or LGBTQ people, all the way down to the unfortunate event where a female employee took her life at during a business trip, because a same business trip where her supervisor brought butt plugs and lube with him.
Yeah, if it were just even one of these items, it would be a lot to talk about. But there are so many allegations on the document that California has put forward. This is a multi-year investigation. This isn't anything new for them. This is a multi-year look at a corporate culture that does not value women at all and probably doesn't value diversity. It's
Well, no, I mean, like the company said, like there were comments earlier this year where like people in the company said that like taking efforts to diversify its employee base was like, I can't remember the exact phrasing of it, but they basically said that like it wasn't feasible or something like that. Let me see if I'll try and find the direct quote real quick while y'all keep talking, because it was a fucking damning thing before any of this dropped.
Like, it's crazy, especially when you're talking California. I know, like, the tech industry, if you're talking Atlanta, Birmingham, can be very white male centric. But I know a lot of West Coast tech females that would have loved a chance to work at a good Blizzard before these allegations came to light, before everything that happened last year with Hong Kong. There was this. It's crazy because if you asked me 10 years ago which company, which like developer out there cared the most about its people and its function and its games, I would have definitively said Blizzard. I don't love most Blizzard games, but they used to have a reputation for really caring about their product. It seems as if they had, they cared about their employees back when they could only hire white guys, but no. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, like I honestly used to be the same way. I used to be like, yeah, Blizz is awesome. Look at how cool they are. Look at what they do for their staff. And then the more stuff like this started coming to light, the less faith I had in them. Not to mention, realizing that I've been screwed out of thousands of dollars for a really shitty game. Over the course of what, 10, 12 years. But like I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. And I mean, I've had experience in tech, not on the programming and dev side of things, but I mean, I have been met with a lot of hostility. Usually straight up, you're a woman, you don't know what you're talking about, so I want you to transfer me to somebody else.
Yeah, and I've seen that too, but even that, while pernicious, is not on this level. I have
Oh, hell
never
no.
been at work and just seen droves of sweaty boys wandering around and trying to harass the ladies. I've definitely seen techie dude bros making very unwanted advances at random ladies, but the allegations here are on a different fucking level than anything I have personally directly seen in the tech sphere. I this is fucking gross.
Yeah, like the worst I've had was like I've had the you don't know what you're talking about because you're female.
Mm.
And the guys who, despite the fact they were reminded at the beginning of the call that they're on a recorded line, get nasty.
Yeah.
It ain't okay. I'm not being nice to you because I like you. I'm being nice to you because it's what pays my bills.
Oh, from a customer service end, even worse. I've definitely, listened to calls with my female employees when I worked the phone part of tech support, and God, they would just. It wasn't always malicious either. It's just like the number of hun, sort of things that are, microaggressions that really get under your skin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Of course, Activision Blizzard did respond. They have
Oh,
responded
did
a few
they?
times. But let's give you the first response, and because this one's a fucking doozy. We value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. There is no
Pause.
place.
Sorry, just pause real quick because that first line flies in the face of the quote that I found. Because, like I said before, I found it. They called their efforts to diversify the workplace unworkable. They said that in January of this year. And then the first line of their first statement, completely contradicts that bullshit.
Like,
I think my brain just broke.
Doesn't Blizzard have like the statue with like the pillars of what Blizzard is founded on?
Yes, they do. I'm going to actually throw something into our Discord really quick because
Sweet.
I had found something about that a while back.
There is no place in our company or industry or any industry for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind. We take every allegation seriously and investigate all claims. In cases related to misconduct, action was taken to address the issue. The DFEH includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. We'll get to that. We have been extremely cooperative with the DFEH throughout the investigation, including providing them with extensive data and ample documentation, but they refused to inform us what issues they perceived. They were required by law to adequately investigate and to have good faith discussions with us to better understand and to resolve any claims or concerns before going to litigation, but they failed to do so. Instead, they rushed to file an inaccurate complaint, as we will demonstrate in court. We are sickened by the reprehensible conduct of the DFEH to drag into the complaint the tragic suicide of an employee whose passing has no bearing whatsoever on this case, and with no regard for her grieving family.
Okay, cool. Found the tweet. It's in our channel on Discord.
Phew. Think globally, and every voice matters values have been covered up by Instance employees this morning. Yeah, let's. That was last year during the whole Hong Kong thing.
Yeah, they did it again this year, except slightly more heavily than a lined sheet of paper and some scotch tape. I just can't find that exact tweet.
Joshy Josh, good to see you, by the way. Awkward name for this discussion, but welcome aboard. While we find this behavior to be disgraceful and unprofessional, it is unfortunately an example of how they have conducted themselves throughout the course of their investigation. It is this type of irresponsible behavior from unaccountable state bureaucrats that is driving many of the state's best businesses out of California. The picture the DFEH paints is not the Blizzard workplace of today. Over the past several years, and continuing since the initial investigation started, we've made significant changes to address company culture and reflect more diversity within our leadership team. Ryan had that nice quote from earlier. We've updated our code of conduct to emphasize. Hold on.
I'm sorry, you just totally Jim Sterling'd that with, what was it? Something magic. And I can't remember which company he was ripping on.
I do not recall.
It's really hot. My brain's melting. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
That's absolutely fine. But I do want to. Okay, who the fuck in any business looks at the code of conduct and like, yeah, that's absolutely everything that takes place in our company is clearly defined in the code of conduct. Nobody ever acts outside our code of conduct. It's words. Nobody's paying attention to fucking words. To emphasize a strict non-retaliation focus. Amplified internal programs and channels for employees to report investigation, including the Ask list with a confidential integrity hotline, and introduced an employee relations team dedicated to investigating employee concerns. We have strengthened our commitment to diversity, equality, and inclusion, and combined our employee networks at a global level to provide additional support. Employees must undergo regular anti-harassment training and have done so for many years. We put tremendous effort in creating fair and rewarding compensation package and policies that reflect our culture and business, and we strive to pay all employees fairly for equal or substantially similar work. We have a variety of proactive steps to ensure that pay is driven by non-discriminatory factors, For example, we rewarded and compensated employees based on their performance. And we conduct extensive anti-discrimination trainings, including for those who are part of the compensation process.
Question.
Yeah.
Does their anti-harassment training involve putting all of the people who have offended in a room and just smacking them across the nose with a rolled up newspaper and saying, "Bad, don't do it again"? Because it's about as effective as whatever the hell they are doing.
Hey, you harassed an employee until they killed themselves. Well, that's just a big no-no, buddy. You can't have that.
I'm not laughing over the fact that she
No.
killed herself. It's just, yeah, I could see them approaching it like that.
Of these statements against what we fucking know.
Yeah.
This just hurts.
We are confident in our ability to demonstrate our practices as an equal opportunities employer that fosters a supportive, diverse, and inclusive workplace for our people. And we are committed to continuing this effort in the years to come. It is a shame that the DFEH did not want to engage with us on what they thought they were seeing in their investigation.
You want to know a fun fact?
Yo.
Please.
Activision Blizzard was aware of the investigation.
Yep.
So that comment is null and void because they were aware of the investigation happening.
Yeah, it's very clear from their statements they consider the entire investigation bullshit in the first place. Just that whole attitude of what we're doing is perfectly fine. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, you're offended by our company? It's God. That is super not a way to respond to it. And God, I wish it got better. It does in some parts. I'm not saying that Activision Blizzard did nothing. But this is a fucking cluster train, so please be prepared. There is a lot here.
Hey, I mean, I remember reading about all of this as it was releasing. I remember being absolutely furious to the point of like rage squeaking. And now that we're going back over it, I'm realizing that I had put up some pretty heavy mental blocks so I wouldn't dwell on this. I'm going to need all of the painkillers by the end of this show because the head hurts even more as we go on.
Yeah, I admit I didn't read all of this as it went as well because I was on vacation and I did not want to fucking deal with all of this invading my headspace. But of course, now that I'm back here in Atlanta, I already knew I was pissed off at Blizzard. I've been pissed off at Blizzard since last year. I have not forgiven and forgotten the whole Hong Kong thing personally, so they can go fucking kiss my ass after this. Holy shit. I am never giving money to Blizzard again after this.
You guys
Probably
want to
not
know
Activision.
something? You want to know something really funny?
What's cool? What's up?
Checking all of my my promotions emails that I get because they get filtered into a separate inbox. Guess who's been invited to do the open beta of Diablo 2? Guess who really wishes that that mailbox was monitored?
Yeah, I'm sure you guys do not want anything to do with that right now.
Oh, hell no. I was a loyal customer for 12 years. I never once got given beta anything. And now that I've denounced this company entirely, now you give me beta? No, 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 no. It does not work that way.
I mean, they gave me beta access to Mist of Pandaria for what? I don't know. That's worth. I never wanted. So one of the largest thing to come out of this is information on Alex Afrasiabi. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. And what has now become the infamous Crosby suite. Of course, based upon good old Bill Cosby. I will give the slimmest, absolute slimmest shadow of a doubt here. Because if you think in 2014, this was before the allegations really became mainstream, I think a lot of people didn't believe the allegations. Now, whether it was still known, but these do not seem like people that would have believed allegations. Not until everything fully came out. So, to me, there's some partial deniability, but also the Cosby suite still, even with that, to me does not read well. To me, it's sort of like, calling your fat friend slim, right? It's that is the sort of thing I'm getting out of it.
Well, here's the thing. It would be easier to provide that little smidgen if not for the information that's come out around that specific part of the story since Kotaku has been continuing their investigations of this, multiple other places also. But Kotaku specifically took a very deep dive into that whole Bill Cosby suite situation, and it all circles around the suite of Alex Afrasiabi at BlizzCon 2013. For some reason I keep wanting to say QuakeCon, not QuakeCon, BlizzCon 2013. Where like it was very much just like a party suite, and there have been pictures that have come out of them posing, like multiple developers at Blizzard posing with a picture of Bill Cosby that's in there, posing with drunk women in there. And there's even been photos that have kind of come out showing like drunk women like groping one another in that situation. And also Afrasiabi has a history, a marked history of sexual harassment.
Yeah, at the very
these
least,
kind of events.
Alex here is a giant piece of shit from everything that's come of this, and definitely the worst part of the worst embodiment of the toxic culture at Activision Blizzard.
I mean, it's one of those things where like while he might be like the main focus of this stuff, like all of the
him.
Exactly. It's the all the purveying people in the sphere around it as well. And also the people trying to protect this and play this off like it's not what it was, or doesn't have the same connotation that it is believed to have. Because like in Kotaku's story, they talked to multiple people that referred to the Cosby suite as a like boardroom at Blizzard's headquarters that was like in the back of the building or something, and not the suite, when clearly the suite is what pulled it. Other people referred to the suite being called that because of the pattern on the carpet being like a Cosby sweater,
which doesn't
sort of
match.
thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not that at all. Like there have been multiple ways for people to try and explain this thing away, and that points even further to the stated meaning of what that was.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way to really look at that whenever it boils down to how the conversations around these things have played out. Not to mention the fact that Afrasiabi's name was still on a WoW character while all of this was happening, up until maybe a week after within a week of the lawsuit going public.
Not one, but 2 characters and multiple quest items.
Yeah.
And one of them like, so you've got Field Marshal Afrasiabi in Stormwind, but he's off to the side, so you very rarely run into him. But then you have Lord Afras, and he's in Wormwest Temple, and he's a fucking quest giver.
Hmm.
So you can't avoid it. And it's just like, yeah. No.
They
No.
did yeet the character for what that's worth, and he hasn't been employed there since June 2020. But that was still a long time that the employer made excuses for this man that they knew, like they knew that he was attempting to kiss female staffers, attempting to grope female staffers,
Calling them derogatory names at events.
And usually those events being like heavy presence of alcohol.
Like, scum.
Yeah.
He's genuinely, like, I hate saying this about people, but he is genuinely a bad person.
Yeah. Not to mention a number of people that were in pictures that were found taken in the Cosby Suite have also been the same people that in the fallout of all this have come out in support of the Activision Blizzard employees. And people have been calling them out on their presence in the Cosby Suite and in Afrasiabi's purview in all of this, dating back to 2013.
Yeah, so it's not as if Blizzard can say, oh, over the last several years, we have worked hard to change who we are. If this employee still worked there up until 2020, and if you have multiple NPCs in the game based around you, you have to be somebody considered in pretty good standing with the company. Not
Or
just
just
some
an
random
absolute
staffer.
narcissist.
Also that.
But of course, this all has led to a lot of fallout from the case initially dropping. Activision, including Bobby Kotick himself, have put out statements that aren't as inflammatory and have tried to really walk back that initial statement. But it doesn't negate the things that have been said internally as well. Because if I were to say that in this case coming up that we would have to go back and revisit the era of the Bush administration and the defense of torture by American military personnel, would that surprise y'all? Because we fucking do. Because Activision, Blizzard, in March hired Fran Townsend, who, if that name doesn't ring a bell for you, was a Homeland Security advisor under the Bush administration, who was regularly sent out on television to defend the administration's use of torture during the War on Terror. Which, as obvious events from this past week's show, that was a fucking thumbs up operation through and through for the past 20 fucking years.
Oh, that wasn't the best hire out of all of this. I think there's an article on what I'm thinking of later. But Blizzard's response has been fascinating.
Well, the thing is, like, specific to Fran Townsend, though, there was an internal memo that got leaked where she called the lawsuit irresponsible and meritless, and continued to try and push people towards working within the systems already established in Activision, and kept propping up the company as this place where safety and diversity is a place that are topics that are cultivated within the company as well. And then of course she also, I don't, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but after the walkout, which I'm sure we're going to get to here shortly, after the walkout, like, she was on Twitter, on her personal Twitter account, posting different things here and there, and then ended up posting a little written piece called what was it called again? Sorry, I want to make sure I get this right because it's a fucking thing. Um, da, 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 da. Sorry, I know I'm just kind of jumping all over the place right now.
It's hard not to with this because there's so many things that are going through all of this.
There we go.
And
The
it is
problem,
such a mess.
the problem with whistleblowing.
I'm sorry,
That's right.
what?
That's what she tweeted. She tweeted out this thing called "The Problem with Whistleblowing," and
How the hell did I miss this?
immediately got backlash from a bunch of current and former Activision Blizzard employees. So much so that she went on a blocking spree, just blocking employees left and right, and then ultimately just deleted her Twitter account because of the amount of response that she got from tweeting this after the walkout.
So, blocking the people that she's supposed to have, like, actual open communication with.
Yep. Because she, in addition to being, in addition to her regular duties, she also serves as. Let me see if I can pull up the her title here. She is also the executive sponsor of the Activision Blizzard King, because I forgot that King was bought by them. Employee Women's Network, and the chief compliance officer at the company.
Yes.
Boy,
That's why her name sounded familiar.
King trying really hard to take a sidestep away from all of this. You guys
No one's left untouched.
King's just going, hey, yeah, look at Blizz and Activision, not at us, because, you know, we steal indie games and make them our own.
I have left the statement from Bungie on the screen. How fucking lucky are they that they pulled out at a great time? Yeah, a lot of companies had a lot to say at the time, and then a lot of former employees also had a lot to say. Just kind of doing a bit of a jump around.
I will be right back, guys. I'm sorry. Somebody attempted to pounce me.
Oh,
no worries.
So it goes. Of course, starting with J. Allen Brock.
Yep. Jab.
It is completely unacceptable for anyone in the company to face discrimination or harassment. It takes courage to come forward, and all claims brought to the company are investigated by internal and, when needed, external investigators. Which, J. Allen Brock, president of the Blizzard Entertainment, allegedly had multiple conversations with Alex about his drinking and that he had been too friendly towards female employees at the company events, but gave Afrasiabi a slap on the wrist in response to these incidents.
It's so frustrating to see that, and like so many people that have been associated with Blizzard leadership, whether current or former, that have come out and said similar things about like how we try to create this culture within the company, or we failed the women at this place, or we didn't do enough. And I'm like, no shit. Like, look, you can come out and say that all you want. You're not earning brownie points by saying that things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad after all of this. There were already like feelings around these things being bad even before the lawsuit came out. So like Mike Morhaime and J. Allen Brock and the Diablo director that is no longer at the company now. Of course, J. Allen Brock no longer at the company. He's gone. He stepped down. All these people can say that this doesn't reflect Blizzard's values or anything, but obviously the evidence says something completely different. Your actions over the past decade show something completely different. All right, like I'm sorry. I saw the clip. The first thing that really circulated out of this was that clip from BlizzCon. What is it, like 20? I
2010.
can't remember
I
what year
gotta
it
pull
was.
it up here.
Yeah, yeah,
2010.
from 2010. Yeah, this interaction was the fucking most cringe thing in the world to look at immediately after reading through this lawsuit.
And I cannot get any audio, of course.
It's all right. I'm sure like everybody's seen this already. It's just really gross talking about overtly sexualizing female characters in their games and how female characters in their games have to be sexy and just
Yeah.
really being very, very pedantic and uncaring in their response to all of this back then. So this shows you that this is not a new thing. This is not a new attitude at all, despite what all these people that previously or currently are involved in the leadership of Blizzard say. Like there's no merit to any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, when you look at companies that went, like, going back as far as like 2015, and seeing Blizz get slapped with a misogyny tax when they were trying to get a quote for security services, like, other companies, like, the industry has known how shit Blizz has been since, like, forever. So, yeah.
I'm just going to quickly read the dialogue from the video that has been circulating here. I love the fact that you have a lot of very strong female characters. However, I was wondering if we could have some that don't look like they just stepped out of a Victoria's Secret catalog. Response from Afrasabi: which catalog would you like them to step out of? I feel you, and we want to vary our female characters, absolutely. So yeah, we'll pick different catalogs.
Immediately commoditizing female identities and female visualization. Immediately.
Yeah. Just scum.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to
I
cut you off,
saw
Trav. I'm
you
sorry.
like looking like you were going to explode.
You know, this is fine. It's fine.
Is it?
But it's not.
I know you don't mean to say that it is fine, Trav. I know you don't. I know that it's very much like the fire burning around us sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just one of those things where like at some point like the language has to change from, and this is no critique of you, Trav. Just put that full force right now. The conversation and the talking points, I hate using that term because talking points don't get anything fucking done. But the topics of conversation have to, and the way that we talk about this stuff has to move out of the memification of shit and into actual real world consequences, because like the memology of a lot of this stuff has allowed these things to thrive.
I like that word.
Thank you, Hideo Kojima. You know, so like it's just so frustrating because like it all speaks to the tone that they took in responding to that as well. Like it's all jokey, laugh. So without Victoria's Secret, which catalog you want? Fuck off! You don't have to look at a catalog to figure out what a woman looks like.
It's just, you know.
Sorry.
There's so many, you know, you look at the women of Warcraft and you get your Jaina Proudmoores and your Sylvanas and your Alexstraszas, and they are all just, yeah. Here are all my teats. Here is bikini armor. Have a good day. It's
Hell, look at Burning Crusade for WoW. Look at the female armor during Burning Crusade. It was all fucking bikini male.
yeah, it's so like this is something that even I noticed very early on playing the game is that all of your female heroes, none of them are spared from the bikini armor in the game. And is it no surprise that a company with this attitude produced these sorts of characters. I know there are some women, female characters in the game that wear like full plate armor, but it's not the big female characters every time.
And also the thing is, like, you're able to name characters by name that fit this critique, while the other ones are just like, there are women that are dressed this way. That's the thing. That's the connection there. Is that like the ones that stand out to audiences, the ones that are meant to hold importance in this world that they have crafted, are the ones that perpetuate the ideals that they want to put out in this way. This ideal of sexualization, this ideal of commoditization.
Like
Yeah.
the only female hero that I can have come to mind, because you know me, I ate, slept, and breathed the lore, was Yrel from Warlords.
Yeah.
And they actually gave her throat to ankle full plate.
Mm.
But of course, it was very form-fitting full plate,
Yeah.
emphasizing the boob area. But she wasn't half naked.
Progress.
But, I mean, she was also a space goat, so
Yeah.
which were all boobs, hips, and tail,
God.
literally.
So is this a good point to talk about that it wasn't just women that suffered sexual harassment at the company?
Yes.
Because there are reports of men experiencing sexual harassment as well. Because I know we do have to get to the actual like fallout around a lot of this stuff, like all the walkouts and everything. But I do. This is one thing that stood out to me, and something that I actually wrote about while we were on break for Toll Road, was multiple men claiming that they were sexually harassed as well. Like, there are reports of everything from unwanted shoulder rubs to propositions for sex to a game that they called Gay Chicken, where men would try to grope one another's genitals.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with these games. I played them in college. You know.
Which is fits well with the fact that, you know, they encouraged a general frat boy culture.
Yeah, this was shit that, you know, the frat boys did a lot, and yeah, because hey, some of these guys are real fucking dumb and haven't learned fucking a thing about how to interact with society. But in this context, we're not talking like 18-year-olds. We're talking grown-ass adults doing an action that by the time you're 19, you should have learned is dumb and bad.
Yeah, I mean, nobody was smart in college or university. We were getting there, but nobody was particularly smart.
I mean, brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not to forgive like any of the dumb fucking dumb that I did back then. But to see this out of 30, 40, 50-year-old men, and then to apologize for it, you know, and from, you know, at least Morhaime admitted that he fucked up horribly and did not engender a fitting workplace. I kind of believe that it sickens him to think about what he did and how it hurt people.
And Chris Metzen along the same ways too, as we failed and I'm sorry. Like,
but neither of them are going to get any repercussions from that, so it doesn't
no, they're no longer with the company.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the only and one of the few people that's actually named as a defendant in the lawsuit is Brack.
Yeah.
So even though he's no longer at the company, he still is facing all of this.
Good. Brack and Kotick both need to be smacked hard with
Legally.
a clue by 4.
God, I would love
Yeah.
to see something happen to Kotick over all of this. That would be great, because I know the investors are fucking pissed off at him. Be more pissed.
Fire him. Fire him, pay triple taxes on the millions that he's made year over year.
Some of the employees did actually speak out, or former employees, Shane and Chanel. I've been openly discussing the discrimination I received during my employment at Blizzard for a few years now. Even in coming out about the harassment that was met with HR leads telling me was a privilege to work here. We never had a voice. Now we have a voice. Set aside your love for the company's products and fictional universe for a moment and consider this. I witnessed my female colleague being demoted for pregnancies and female health-related concerns because of their inability to fulfill the requirements of the job.
I beg your fucking pardon? Like, no.
I'd love to say that that is not normal in tech, but God, it really fucking is when a female lead gets pregnant. People get mad because no one's, she's supposed to be here to fill that role.
Hey, I've seen it in every job industry right now where women of a certain age, and I'm talking mid-30s, not those women of a certain age, who companies are afraid to hire them because, oh, you're at that age where, your time's running out to have a baby, so you're going to get married and have a kid immediately, and we're going to lose you for a year.
Mhm.
And it's like, no. That shouldn't matter.
Which is no surprise, but yeah, it's all in here as well. As well, a lot of Twitch streamers had an awful lot to say in it, and multiple Twitch streamers, after this controversy came out, switched to Final Fantasy XIV. We have seen a lot of people now moving from WoW to Final Fantasy 14. Fucking Jesse Cox has moved to Final Fantasy. The man built his career, his entire livelihood on WoW radio initially, and then all of this. We've seen multiple streamers that just will not go back. It's been a boom for Final Fantasy XIV, the game that you can get for free now. With over 60, you can reach 60 levels, and the I can't even say it with the remotely straight face. The expansion free. Yay. Try to interject some levity into this. Yeah, this article definitely goes into a lot of streamers. I only know, very big streamers by name, so I'm not doubting that a lot of these people, but this article came out at the very beginning of it, 3 days after. I don't really know any major WoW streamers that are still streaming WoW right now.
Judging by this article, it looks like Asmongold still is, because he flat out said, it's not fair for people to ask streamers who only play WoW to stop playing the game. If they go to another game, their stream's going to be fucking dead. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. I don't think it's fair to ask or expect someone to throw away their career because of something they had nothing to do with.
Go ahead.
And the thing is, like, I understand that sentiment because it's the same sentiment that has kind of popped up around a lot of people saying that there should be a boycott of Activision Blizzard products coming out of this, because none of that is coming from the employees that are actually wronged in this by all of this that's happened. That's coming from a lot of people that are on the outside and watching.
Mm.
And I don't necessarily know if boycotting products is the best way to go, especially whenever it affects the livelihood of the people, the employees that are being like that were subjugated to a lot of this stuff. Um, and in the same way, like I don't befall any Twitch streamer who is like, look, this is what I do for my career. I can't like I can't move off to another thing, or else I'm having to have to build completely back, and it will like negatively affect me financially. Like I don't want anybody to suffer any significant financial hardship outside of like I don't know Bobby Kotick, because always
Yeah.
eat the
Yeah.
rich. But at the same time, like there has to be these conversations around like what is your relationship to that stuff.
Mm.
You know, I'd also don't blame anyone that chooses to not engage with Activision Blizzard stuff going forward. I don't necessarily agree with advocating for a boycott. To me, the only time that should come up is whenever employees of a company are like calling for that sort of thing. So like I don't bemoan anybody like that, and it does get a little bit frustrating to see the sheer amount of people in in the weeks following this that were just like delete BattleNet off your desktop and that sort of thing. So I don't know. It's a weird balance to find with that stuff, but it's going to be different for everybody that comes to approach that stuff.
Yeah.
At the same, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, go.
I was going to say at the same time, at the corporate level, there should be some financial suffering, or not suffering, that's not the right word, some financial penalty in a way, and they are experiencing some of that. Because another thing that kind of it was definitely after the news cycle unfortunately died down a lot of this stuff, but the Overwatch League lost a couple of major sponsors.
Mm.
And while though there's not been statements from those companies that directly tied that decision to everything that's happening, the timing is saying something.
Yeah.
T-Mobile and Coca-Cola have removed their sponsorships. Two of their largest sponsors for Overwatch League.
Yeah.
So
What I was gonna say is like the one style of player protests that I've seen through all of this that I think actually has worked the best was they got a group of players, started spreading the word, and they got as many players as humanly possible to log in at the same time, thus increasing a load on the servers. They all gathered in major social hubs, and that at a set time, they all logged out simultaneously. Which means their concurrent user base went like this and then plummeted. And that is going to hit them where they really, really don't want to be hit, because their shareholders will see that. And their shareholders are not happy at all.
no, not at all. And to that end as well, like I think people that chose not to stream Activision Blizzard titles, like that is that's just as viable as any other like protest option. Like if that is your means of protest, your only way to really try and affect something this way, by all means go for that. If it's your personal belief that you don't want to buy Activision Blizzard products going forward for whatever reason, whether it's this or other shitty things that have come from that company, that's a perfectly viable thing there as well. And I really enjoyed seeing the WoW protest pop up in this, because it's just it speaks so much to the power that video games have cultivated in the like social purview over the past decade. Ever since people have started to take these things more seriously, and ever since conversations around like power dynamics and employment, power dynamics and pay structures, and these sort of like, for lack of a better term, social justice initiatives that have popped up. These very uncomfortable conversations that need to be had and are being had in some of the right places and are not being had in others, as evidenced by the lawsuit that we've had filed here. it speaks to, I think, a positive trend for a lot of people that engage with video games as a whole. Obviously, it's not everybody because no community will ever be like that. But uh, it's been very, very heartening to see the outpour for a lot of these people from the people that buy the games and play the games themselves, and not just from other people in game dev.
Yeah. And like seeing roleplay guilds like Fence Macabre, who led a protest inside the game. They would have hundreds of players that are raising funds for Black Girls Code while
Yes,
participating in a sit in protest in one of the social hubs. Like, that is fucking awesome.
it's beautiful.
I forget what I was going to say now.
Brian and I kind of ran with it. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. I know I had some sort of salient point in the back brain space, and now it's totally gone. It wandered off. Doesn't matter.
Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah. So it's worth noting that, the vast majority of the developers at Activision Blizzard, especially the developers, don't want this culture. It is still very pervasive, but we've seen a lot of things coming out of the actual company itself, the developers, and people who work on the game, marketing, etc. A letter was sent to management. I believe we really need to read the whole thing. But it very clearly, this is we no longer trust that our leaders will place employee safety above their own interests. To claim this is a truly meritless and irresponsible lawsuit, while seeing so many current and former employees speak out about their own experiences regarding harassment and abuse, is simply unacceptable. And I can't imagine a better fucking way to put it. That calling this meritless when so many people have spoken out about their problems that got ignored because it was for the best of the company. It's abhorrent.
Yeah.
And still, we haven't gone a full week yet in the story.
Yeah, it was just like everything piled on. And then once those dams broke, it was just like, hey, here's absolutely all of the dirty laundry coming out of Blizz since its inception. Have fun. And it's just, now my I have no words spaz faces can actually come through, and you guys don't just hear random squeaks and croaks.
To add to this a bit, the issues weren't taken to HR, the individual said, because they believed that would lead them to becoming general gossip around the office. When he told other colleagues, they excused it away, he said. This is regards to what Brian was saying earlier about how male staffers were even treated around the office. And a fear of, oh, can't you fucking take a joke?
Yeah. That's just, and that's one of the main reasons why so many people went straight to the DFEH. Like including some of those people, some of the male employees. Like that's the reason why if you try and like contain these things to internal structures, like those structures are built to benefit the company, not you. And like it's very fitting that one of the HR directors there is now also gone as part of the fallout of this. But the messaging that we've seen internally that has leaked since since all this stuff went down, is very much continuing to implore employees to work within their internal systems and keep issues internal, so that they can be dealt with in that way rather than speaking out publicly, which, as evidenced by what we're currently dealing with and what we've been reading, hasn't worked at all. Like, there were reports from Uppercut, like they held the Activision Blizzard higher ups held a all hands meeting, which is funny because apparently the first meeting that they had, they could only get 500 people into it because they scheduled something wrong on the Zoom call,
Hmm.
so they couldn't get everybody in. But in those meetings, like who was it? I think it was Activision head Joseph Saab. Let me make sure I get the name correct. Joseph Taub, who is Activision's. Where is their title? Sorry, I just want to make sure I get some of this stuff right. I want to make sure I get as much of this stuff right as possible. Oh yeah, he's Activision executive. Doesn't give his direct title, but Josh Patab held that meeting, and once again stressed to everybody, like, please keep these things internal so that we can talk about this stuff. Also in that meeting said that him and Bobby Kotick, quote, have never seen this, but that, quote, does not mean this behavior does not happen.
Yeah, it's bizarre that they say never happens, because very clearly it does. There is recorded instances. A walkout did finally occur on July the 27th. We are still only a week into this. With several statements of intent. An end to mandatory arbitration clauses in all employee contracts. God, arbitration clauses are the worst. No employer should fucking have arbitration clauses in their fucking contracts.
Yeah.
The adoption of recruiting, interviewing, hire, and promotion policies designed to improve representation among employee at all levels, agreed upon by employees in a company-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion organization. Publication of data on relative compensation, promotion rates, and salary ranges for employees of all genders and ethnicities at the company. Oh, that's that's called. Oh, I can imagine the heads in HR and like, oh no, fuck that. But hey, don't be afraid to call out a company that is paying some people more than others, even if you're in the position of making more for no good reason.
No, I mean, because that's one of the ways that these sort of structures continue to thrive, is that no one talks about their compensation, no one talks about their paycheck,
Yeah,
and they're
everyone's
encouraged
afraid
not
to
to.
make people feel worse or something.
Yeah, and that's a culture that's propagated by the higher ups at the corporation. Like, it's all this cycle that feeds itself to keep people like without knowledge that could benefit them in pushing for better conditions.
And the last request, and honestly a smart one, empower a company-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion task force to hire a third party to audit ABK's reporting structure, HR department, and executive staff.
Yeah, so, Bullies did that, kind of.
Mm,
Except the
did
firm
they?
they hired is known as a union busting firm.
Yeah.
So-
Who most recently worked with Amazon to bust up the unionization effort in Alabama.
Yeah. So, bravo.
And yeah.
Failed attempt.
Yeah. Also, a law firm that has a previous relationship with working with Activision Blizzard, therefore undercutting the idea of them being an independent third party.
Yep. However, during the walkout, and it pains me to say this, Blizz actually did good. Despite the fact that you had staff walking out of the office, you had people who were working remotely due to COVID, who stopped working during the hours of 9 and 6. They paid them.
Hmm.
They still paid them. But then again, they also didn't need any more bad press. So,
Well, I mean, that was clearly an effort to try and like appear like to kind of put some positivity on their name in all of this. Like, oh, we'll offer all the people walking out PTO for the day.
but it's out of your PTO bank.
Well, that's
So,
the thing.
you
They
know,
never
those days off you already had booked.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They never clarified if that was like additional PTO to what was already accrued. Are they pulling it out of the their PTO bank already? Like, how is this? Like, is this going to negatively impact their already standing like PTO amount? Like, they just said, "Hey, we'll offer anybody PTO." Like you got to say more about that. Like, cause yes, like people that just take a glancing look at it, like, "Oh, that's nice," but at the end of the day, it's also like it is a way to try and ingratiate workers to say that Activision Blizzard wants to do the right thing. At the same time, they hire a company to come in and has a history of union busting. And there's been a lot of conversation about unionization coming out of this walkout. Let me tell you. Um,
Mhm.
and like this just feels like a way of them trying to it's kind of a typical union busting practice in a way. It's a way of like them showing that trying to ingratiate themselves to their employees so that maybe they'll stop talking about this stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's stuff that I've been very open and honest about the fact that I've been part of a unionization effort out here in Portland for Voodoo Donut, and this is some of the same kind of shit that we had to combat out here in our fight.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like my favorite protest phrase from the Wobblies out here is um a boss's promise has no worth.
That's brilliant. And I love it.
Yeah.
I would also be interested in seeing the data because you know that all of the customer service for Blizz and Activision isn't done in-house. You know that they have third-party contractors.
Not to
I'm
mention all the
wondering
independent contractors and so many other places in that company as well.
exactly. I'm wondering, did they walk too? Did they get paid? Or did they get threatened with loss of job because they walked?
Let me tell you something about being an independent contractor for a company that has a union. More than likely, they had no protections on them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm third party contract for a major corporation for their tech support. I know that my colleagues who work for the corporation directly get paid almost double what I do.
Oh yeah.
I know that they have all sorts of resources and all sorts of perks that I will never see.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a
And
contractor fucking sucks.
yeah, most definitely. I have been a third party contractor pretty much my entire customer support career.
Excuse me? Oh, that fucking blows. I
What
did.
did you find?
Oh, I didn't find anything. I was just
Yep.
saying it kind of blows that they are. I didn't know you were a contractor at all of these jobs. Because, like,
Yeah,
I know how our company treats contractors. I wouldn't say poorly, but expendable is the word.
and here's the thing with my current tech support job, my company that I work directly for isn't the only third party. There are about 50 globally, and each one has something like 30 different call centers, all
God.
working for this client.
But
So, yeah.
hey, don't worry if you work at Activision Blizzard because Bobby cares.
You know, I've never seen a picture of that man until today.
Really?
And he looks kind of like I expected him to.
He does
He looks like a
look pretty
man-child.
weaselly, doesn't he? Like,
He's a man-child.
it's a very punchable face.
He's got like the boyish, childish face of like a toddler wrapped up in old man smarm.
You would think a man this rich could afford to, style better.
Yeah, who dresses him? Like, is he married? Does his wife handle his wardrobe? Or is he too much of a manly man to accept help? Because he really needs it.
I won't read over Kodak's message because it's kind of what you would imagine. But this and this kind of reflects the same thing Brian said before. Kodak's message is in stark contrast to the public reaction Activision Blizzard exhibited in the early days of this controversy, during which a spokesperson referred to the lawsuit as irresponsible behavior from unaccountable state bureaucrats. In private, Bush-era torture apologist and Activision Blizzard Chief Compliance Officer Francis F. Townsend issued an internal memo calling the suit meritless. Meanwhile, Activision Blizzard employees are speaking out against what they regard as their employers' inadequate and even offensive response to the lawsuit's serious allegations. Yeah.
Yep.
So of course they hire Wilmer Hale at this point. Thanks, Mr. Kodak, for giving us union breakers. Cool.
Yeah. Another thing that was interesting around the walkout before we move on, because I know there's other things around the walkout and around and coming out of the walkout as well to touch on, was the fact that a number of outlets in games press paused their coverage of Activision Blizzard products. And that's something that I have not seen ever. Now, granted, we're not talking about like major places. GameSpot, IGN, that wasn't them. But, there are multiple places that decided to take a stance and at least like stop covering their games for a time. Obviously that has kind of trickled back a little bit. I haven't been to look at some of these sites in a little bit, but obviously all of the leaks about Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty, have entered the news cycle now as well. So obviously there are people that are covering it, but it was just nice to see like people kind of in the games media kind of stand in solidarity in a way, at least for some time.
We're not going to get into all of the people who what been fired over all of this.
Well, fired or they have left.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ones that have left are, I'm seeing kind of like rats fleeing a sinking ship. Like they're just they're the harbingers of doom on this one.
Quickly, the Cosby Suite, based on images and comments Afrasiabi posted on his Facebook, supplied to Kotaku by a former developer at Blizzard. It was reportedly a booze-filled meeting place where many, including Afrasiabi, would pose with an actual portrait of Bill Cosby while smiling. It was also a hotspot for informal networking, BlizzCon, 3 sources told us, where people looking to make inroads of the company would go to meet and hang out at the top with some of its top designers. That's kind of a scary thing to combine at the same time. It is a meeting spot, but also a place to get fucking hammered and, hit on women. For Sabi saying, bring them, you can't marry all of them. I can, I'm Middle Eastern. Jesse McCree, currently a lead game designer at Blizzard, then writes, "You misspelled fuck."
Jesse McCree, who has now also departed the company.
Yeah. But the
Which-
legacy will live on because McCree in Overwatch is named after him.
Hmm.
Which also makes me wonder. You've got a big name voice actor tied to McCree. He has been very silent on all of this. Like, his name has become synonymous with McCree. And I don't know, I'd kind of like to see his take, because he's, when the SAG-AFTRA strikes were happening, he was very much on board with all of that, as were the rest of his crew. So I'd be interested to see his take on all of this. I would be really interested because he's very, very left leaning and he's very, very outspoken when it comes to rights.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Let's see. Joshua Mascara did write a Medium post saying that he was unaware of the bad things going on, which okay, fine, sure. Moving forward, hey, even Twitch streamers and devs have been helping out with the boycott. Various people have given to charities, Futures Without Violence, Black Girls Code, etc. Have raised money out of this. A lot of people, Hearthstone players are dropping money. And really, we've said before, we're not going to call out anyone who continues to play Blizzard stuff because it's larger than that. There's a lot of developers here that are good developers, a lot of even, PR, marketing, etc. And it's worth noting that the vast majority of the people at Blizzard signed this document for what they demand.
Yeah, like there are a lot of innocent people in this. And I mean, if you continue playing the games to support them, cool. I have no issues with that.
Ubisoft, who, wow, it's weird that Ubisoft's problems now seem to pale in comparison with Blizzard's. Not that Ubisoft's problems were fucking terrible, but we didn't devote an entire fucking episode to Ubisoft.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Ubisoft hasn't had a lawsuit filed against them yet.
Yeah.
Yet. Yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key word. Yet, because like those issues that we've talked about previously on this show around Ubisoft, those have definitely not been properly addressed by the company.
Hell no.
As evidenced by what you're about to get to, Trav, with this letter that they put out in solidarity. And real quick, just off of what Linz was saying, so the voice actor for McCree, Matthew Mercer, he actually did post on Twitter in solidarity with the walkout. So there was that. I don't know if necessarily that means that. I'm sure there are more people that would want more from him, but there was that. So there.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's kind of the stance I thought he'd take.
Yeah, and again, we have 25 minutes left in the show, so I won't go into a lot of details on many parts of this. But Ubisoft employees, 500 of them, did put out a letter, and there was a response. Stephen Totilo here, in case you want this thread documented, some of the statements from them. We have made important progress with the past year. Since last summer, we have implemented new anonymous reporting tools, revamped our HR process, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, Ubisoft hasn't changed that much. That's
No.
No.
Apparently, this is hitting right in my backyard too.
Yep.
Ubisoft has an office in Toronto,
Mhm.
and apparently, people are quitting in droves right now.
So
I
it's
am ashamed because I've actually applied to work there.
aren't you
I
glad
never
you're
got an
not?
answer. I've been invited to a million playtests, and I haven't gone to a single one. And I'm kind of glad I haven't.
So let's talk quickly about WilmerHale. We've already mentioned they're a union-busting company that CEO Bobby Kotick directly hired to help out with the situation. Um, they are the law firm that most infamously helped Amazon keep its workers from unionizing. Um, if you want more information on that, that is a great source for their delightful work at Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It is not to say that a company can't change in any way, shape, or form and can do two different things, but boy, it's sort of weird that a company that suddenly is having talks about unionization is hiring this company.
To do an impartial audit.
Yeah, WilmerHale is a big, powerful law firm that takes on big, powerful clients. Lawyers from the combined firm were part of special investigation committees hired to look into the finances of both Enron and WorldCom.
Oh, cool. Great. Two awesome, sturdy businesses that are still around today and didn't fuck over hundreds of people.
No. Bad. 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 Stop it.
God. Oh, God. And also, it should be noted that that anti-unionization effort in Bessemer, Alabama, related to Amazon, while I cannot confirm that anything that WilmerHale participated in contributed to this, that effort was found to be in violation by the NLRB. So more than likely, that vote is going to be annulled, and there will be another vote at some time in the future if that's the route they want to take. Either way, the government recognized that some fucked up, shady shit happened in violation of how you're supposed to conduct these sort of things there.
I
So,
look forward to hearing more about that.
yeah, right? Just to give more insight on the sort of things that WilmerHale's participated in. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Hey, while we're on Townsend a bit, she apparently blocked a whole lot of people and then nuked her Twitter outright.
That she did.
The fact that she was first blocking Blizzard employees before she decided just to nuke the whole fucking thing is really fucking weird from your HR director.
Meanwhile,
All right, Chief Compliance Officer.
Chief Compliance Officer.
I can just see it. Like, the Blizzard employees are all closing in on her, and it's like, we are Legion. When one of us falls, 10 more take our place. And she's like, God! I have a cartoon studio in my head. This is what it's like all the time.
Just a legion of Death Knights coming back from the grave to destroy her. While we're talking about people that no longer work there, yeah, we've said before, but J. Allen Brock stepped down. He had this to say: "We want to let you know about an important leadership change at Blizzard Entertainment. Starting today, J. Allen Brock will be stepping down as the leader of the studio, and Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra will co-lead Blizzard moving forward. Blah, 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 blah.
So that just strikes me as you can't hate us anymore. See, we're being diverse. We're putting a woman in charge. With a man to supervise her, but a woman in charge.
I will name a woman as my vice president. Wait.
Different white dude.
Different deflection entirely. Yep. As Brian mentioned before, Activision Blizzard lost some sponsors, T-Mobile being amongst them. They pulled out at the end of July. T-Mobile, of course, being a fairly large sponsor to pull out. Coca-Cola and State Farm both are reassessing their partnership with Activision Blizzard. Kellogg's has pulled its ads from Overwatch League.
Yep.
Holy shit, they've lost a lot of ad revenue, huh?
Yeah, considering how big Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, these are big companies, and T-Mobile, like, well, it's no Verizon, but these are some big companies to lose. So you have to imagine they're sweating.
A lot.
Yeah.
They are now at the point where they're like, maybe we should start worrying. Because subscriber numbers are down. Their ad partners are leaving in droves. Their leadership is slowly being gutted. Yeah, fear with great fear, boys. Run.
APK Workers Alliance had this to say over the response from Activision Blizzard. You said you would do everything possible to work with employees in improving our workplace, and yet the solutions you proposed in that letter did not meaningfully address our requests. You ignored our call for an end to mandatory arbitration. You did not commit to adopting inclusive recruitment and hiring practice. You made no comment on pay transparency. Of course, nobody is excited for Wilmer Hale to be involved because they are a giant fucking law juggernaut that tends to more often squash opposers than actually help anybody. You can get a little bit more here. I'm not going to read over all of that, but the problems at ABK go beyond Blizzard and require systematic change. We stand by our demands and we remain committed to taking action until they are met. So, this isn't over as far as the Blizzard employees are currently concerned.
Nor should it be.
Absolutely.
These fights are long and, tiresome, but they are worthy.
They are worthy. I just hate the fact that they're necessary. They should not be something that, people have to deal with. Like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. This kind of toxic culture should not exist in the first place.
Just a random one here as well. As we said before, Jesse McCree, they're looking to rename the character. And the request from fans, and Overwatch League is refusing to say his name during the matches.
Yes, that is one thing that has been a positive coming out of this in terms of Overwatch League is that casters have not been using the name of the character, which, good on them. Um, I don't know if I know there's been calls for them to rename the character. I don't know if there's been any messaging from Blizzard itself that they will do so. But I mean, with Overwatch 2 still in development right now, would be a really good time to move away from that.
Yeah,
You know,
you could call them so many other things and just completely drop that in Overwatch 2. Poof.
yeah, yeah. Also, like it's changing a character's name is not that hard to do in an existing game. It's not like a ton of code or dedicated is dedicated to the name of a character.
Yeah, and like I used to play a lot of Overwatch, and I don't think his name's ever mentioned in a voice line.
Not to my
So
knowledge.
it's not like you even have to re-record and remaster anything. Like just let it go.
But probably the juiciest of this, Activision Blizzard actually is facing a second lawsuit over this lawsuit.
Yes, they are.
The suit, which covers anyone who has traded in Activision Blizzard securities between August 4th and July 27th, 2021, seeks damages based on the defendant's violation of federal security laws by issuing materially false and misleading statements during the class action period. The suit not only names the corporate entity Activision Blizzard as defendant, but also CEO Bobby Kotick, CFO Dennis Durkin, and former CFO Spencer Newman.
Yep.
This makes me so happy.
So the investors are now pissed off because they've been lied to for a long time. 5 years.
Hit these assholes right in their money dollars.
It's one of the few times I'm cheering on investors because I think everything in the investment market is fucking gross and I hate it.
Say I play around in the stock market, but on a very tiny scale.
I have a 401k. It's partially stock market money.
I have a whole $50 invested right now, so and that's spread across 3 stocks.
I hate that I have money in the stock market, but also I have no real choice over that. It's what my company decides to do with my retirement money. Anyway, yeah, it's a really fascinating lawsuit to have. Just thrown out there. And this is a place where Blizzard could stand to lose a lot of money, and this is one of those lawsuits that are far from meritless. There is a lot of merit to be had in this lawsuit.
Yeah, and it's personally for me, whenever this news came down, like yes, it was one of the things like, oh, of course this is going to happen, but I say fuck capitalism a lot on this show. But I don't say that in a vacuum. I understand that we still live in a capitalist society, and it sucks that those structures dictate these sort of things happening, and that we have to rely on shareholders to hold companies accountable sometimes in this way. It really does, but at the same time, like I am happy that this happened. It's just one of those begrudging happiness things for me because it's just like,
We're glad
God.
it happened, but gosh, couldn't have done it in a way that's not capitalism.
One would hope. I don't know.
Oh,
One
but
of these days, we're going to have a Star Trek society and everything will be fine.
Sorry, I don't mean to scoff. Just...
It might not be in our lifetimes. We can hope, though.
We can always hope. We can always hope.
This line gets me. Of course, the investor call had to take place, and that was the context in which CEO Bobby Kotick and his lieutenants went into the company's most recent earnings call on Tuesday. During the call, there was the nauseating two-step of "we care, we're listening," yet at the same time, Call of Duty, Money Machine, go burr.
Yeah, that investors call was one of the oddest things that I've listened to.
I haven't listened to it. Tell me more. I'm
Wow.
fascinated.
It was just like you could sense the level of unease coming from all sides of the conversation in this. Like it was just one of those moments where like no matter what was said, it was always said with like an apprehension to it, knowing what was going on outside of the walls of this meeting, and knowing that that stuff was going to come up at some point during this meeting, and it did multiple times. So like it's one of those things where like they're trying to find the way to balance multitudes of sexual harassment and sexual assault allegations against that new COD. And
they were trying to do the look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here. You see nothing, you see nothing. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
in a way, but they were also like trying to acknowledge that like things weren't as I don't even know if like say that things weren't as bad as they are. It was just like it was very much trying to thread a needle through through a needle that had like the smallest possible opening that it could physically have. And there was no way that you were going to actually like pull this off without having some backlash come out of it. You know, it's a very interesting listen. Very
I wish I'd
frustrating.
actually
listen.
been able to get in on that. That would have been. I think I was working.
I believe it's publicly available, or you can listen to this recorded somewhere. But anyway,
You know what?
if you wanted to spend an hour,
You know what company we really haven't talked enough about though? Riot. Yeah, so there's a suit also with Riot that came out in 2018. The same agency that sued Activision Blizzard is also suing Riot. It's been ongoing. And we know that there are definite issues within Riot. But for this to actually like be seen, and boy, employees at Riot are also pretty damn unhappy right now as well. Riot is the only company, and Ubisoft and others, that the employees are having a bit of a reckoning with their employers in the face of all the things. But I didn't expect even more weird things to come out of Riot. They seem to be turning a corner, but
you want some news that might throw some water on that belief?
Sure.
Because like yes, they have very publicly touted like the changes that they have made, and those changes and advancements are great. But also news broke earlier this month in relation to that lawsuit with Riot that the same California agency is alleging that Riot is delaying harassment investigations by like not referring employees to the agency. Let's see if I can find the direct statement from the DFEH. Agreements that attempt to bar individuals from filing a complaint or assisting in a DFEH case run afoul of the anti-retaliation, anti-interference provisions. Employers cannot impose. Okay, so sorry, I don't want to go through the whole statement because it's not necessarily everything that we can glean out of that. Basically, Riot, one of the main things there was that a lot of their employees had mandatory arbitration clauses as well, and the lawsuit that was filed by the DFEH negates those mandatory arbitration clauses. Like they can come to DFEH and make claims about what has been happening to them. And since 2019, the company has been dragging their feet with telling female employees that they have this ability.
Oh, cool.
That also expands to employees that signed settlements with the company previously.
Hmm.
So Riot is not informing employees that they can cooperate and participate in the current pending lawsuit.
Cool.
Yay!
So we spent nearly 2 hours here discussing this, and it's a lot to take in. And this is something that's going to be ongoing because, especially where Blizzard stands right now, a lot of people, a lot of WoW players weren't happy with the last expansion, and a lot of players have moved over to Final Fantasy 14. Blizzard hasn't really put out a game that anybody loves in a good while. The last one being Overwatch several years ago, and even then, that had a lot of controversy around it due to microtransactions and the like. To say that Blizzard has lost the goodwill of everyone. And when you look at Activision, the company itself puts so much into, its mainline shooter and not a whole lot else. But even that has been kind of falling off the last few years, having some very stiff competition, especially this year. It's not a good year to be Activision Blizzard. What I'm saying is, fire Bobby Kotick. For the love of God.
I mean, that is definitely an immediate option that I would not be sad about at all.
I'm not
When
saying
you
it fix
say-
everything.
When you say fire, do you mean out of a cannon?
It'd be nice. You don't have to do that much, but I would really appreciate it.
It goes along with eat the rich. It's yeet the rich.
Yeah. Some of the restructuring is good. Especially O'Neill. That is a good move, very solid. But a lot of this is so fucked. Like, we've been on this 2 hours, and we still didn't really get into a lot of solid details. We couldn't really talk about the history of the company that's been hired for to act as a third party. There are so many other staff members at Activision Blizzard that have left or been outright fired. I suppose what I'm getting at is this is not done by any means, and the most important thing we can do, like, don't crowd in on people that still support Activision Blizzard. There are definitely a lot of great developers, a lot of great people that work at Activision Blizzard. People that continue to support the company in their own ways, fine. But there are so many ways also of supporting the actual employees at Blizzard. Sit-ins, charity drives that have been done by employees of Blizzard and even fans of Blizzard. Make your fucking voice heard is always the most important thing, because I don't see the culture responsible going away anytime soon here. But now that it's out there, it's at least going to be easier for the people who experience this pain and suffering just for wanting to have a job and health insurance, for wanting to create something or be a part of something creative. the fact that a woman died from all of this and HR washed it off as nothing. I have no trust or faith in this company anymore, but I understand people that do.
I mean, honestly, the best thing, I know this was said in the chat, and it exactly is my belief here. The best thing to do is to not let this go away. Continue talking about these issues, not just with Activision Blizzard, because this is not reserved just to them. This is a industry-wide issue, as evidenced by Riot.
Right.
And also, we saw issues even while this was going on with Fulbright, where um the one of the founders of that company was ousted because of not anything as egregious as this, but still issues with treatment of employees of underrepresented communities. So, like, just take a better look at this industry and try and understand where you can impact things, and make sure that you understand that this is a systemic issue that needs to be addressed at the very, very root of it. Like, that's really, and we have to keep these conversations going because we can't let the news cycle wipe these things away, especially whenever Activision is ready to move on to talking about the new Call of Duty.
I mean, Call of Duty sucks anyway, so you don't really have an issue of having to work too hard to get me to not talk about Call of Duty.
I understand that, but yeah.
Yeah. And Josh, if you buy Diablo 2, no harm, no foul. I'm not, because I don't think I can touch a fucking Blizzard product at this point without feeling sick. But yeah, there's not going to be a Mr. Video Games tonight. We'll bring you one tomorrow. Tomorrow's show is going to be a lot more fun. We're going to talk about our summer vacation, the games we played, and bring back the more funny, laughy, good times that we prefer to have on the show. I'd love it if we never had to have episodes like this where, we get really mad at a specific thing, because we're all here because we love this media in the first place, right? That's the first and foremost, is we're fans.
Yeah.
And
part of that love is holding it accountable, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're fans, but we're also responsible adults and compassionate human beings who, I think I could speak for all of us when we say that, shit like this can't stand. Like, these companies need to be held accountable. They need to be taken to task. And I'm really happy to see that it has gone this far with Blizzard so far. And I want to see sweeping reforms of the entire industry. I know that's going to take a really long time to happen. But
Brian,
like Trav said earlier, we can't let this go away.
Brian, you got any final words for us as well here before we turn off?
I don't know. I don't feel right plugging stuff this week. I'll save that for tomorrow. Just understand the structures of power and make sure that you continue to inform yourselves of how we can impact that going forward.
Yeah, hey, we're in this society, work with what you have, but also, help each other out, I guess, really is the ultimate takeaway here. And we'll be back tomorrow with the more regular talky, fun time, laughy thing. So,
With our elementary school flashback of standing up in front of the class and telling you what I did on my summer vacation.
Mine
I
was
saw
real
a
gay.
giant painting, and it went dancey dance. God, I can't help but shitpost it at the end. By the way, shout out to the marble with the screaming man inside of it. Have a good night, everyone.
I